name, please?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Do you know what we're here for? Do you know what we're here for?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills! I don't want reality.
He looks good, and he looks hard.
That's too much, man!
A what now?
Fucking bitch.
Do you know what we're here for?
Your name, please?
Mr. Morelli.
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't even play.
Don't be creepy.
Planet and everything are the same word.
It's science.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I don't want reality.
What?
Oh, it never occurred to me.
Interest.
Just crazy enough to work.
Yeah.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
That's too much, man.
Come on!
Phrasing?
China? China? I have to have my China.
Well, it's good to see you folks once again. So much to do, so much to see. So little time. Thankfully, we have each other to get through it all together. Anyway, chat, suppose it's time for us to get to it. Let's buckle up those seatbelts. It's time for us to take a little journey through the unknown. By the way, at some point during the stream, we will be having an impromptu celebration for, that's right, my birthday. Not really my birthday. I'm not actually doxing myself. But it is my birth star sign, so that's that's gonna happen. And I figured because of that, we'd kind of take it easy, starting off today. At least on me. You're watching Dune 2. Okay. Nice. I haven't seen that yet, so no spoilers allowed. Anyway, instead of starting off with our usual gun violence in America, I figured we'd try and start it off with a little bit of cinema. Hopefully, I don't get copyright struck for this immediately. Fingers crossed, everybody. Thank you for the happy birthdays.
Hello, Emily. One day, when you are old enough, you will be impregnated with a perfect clone of yourself.
Horrifying.
You will later upload all of your memories into this healthy, new body. One day, long after that, you will repeat this process all over again. Through this cloning process, Emily, you will hope to live forever.
I had lunch today.
I am a third-generation Emily, contacting you from 227 years into your future, and I would like you to know that everything is going well in the transfer and cloning process. With very...
Wait, why are you crying? What's happening? Did something happen? I think I missed it. Either way, thank you for the birthdays. Here in the galaxy, we, in space, we celebrate our birthdays under the first day of our star sign. It's much easier. We can all have one party for everybody. It's more economical, to say the least.
New signs of mental deterioration.
That Grandma?
No, Emily, I am not your grandmother. In a sense, you are mine. I am Emily.
Emily.
For those who cannot afford the cloning process, many of our elderly undergo a full digital transfer of consciousness, where they can experience a safe, extended lifespan of hundreds of years. Our grandfather's digital consciousness currently resides in this cube, where I upload the latest films and books for him to enjoy every week.
Grandpa.
We are also able to download correspondence from him. Over 1,000 letters were received during his first hour in storage, as this was approximately 4 years' time inside the cube. I will read one of his letters to you now. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh my God, Holy Mother of God, oh God. For end-of-life procedures for our less affluent citizens in the lower classes, the face of a deceased loved one can be peeled off, preserved, and stretched over the head of a simple
Jesus
animatronic
Christ.
robot, so they can still be a part of someone's life. Our view screens allow us to witness any event in history by reordering the light impressions recorded upon the subatomic particles that are in constant chaos all around us. It is how I am watching you now, Emily. It is how we watch everything in your time. Our more recent history is often just comprised of images of other people watching view screens.
Do you like my cars?
How I'm contacting
I
you
do.
today, though, Emily, is through experimental time travel. Time travel, for physical beings, is a much more difficult process than sending a message. If the position of the orbiting Earth at your destination date is not accurately calculated, a person could be sent off the planet. Many of our brave test clones are also still regularly crushed beneath the ground
Jesus.
or accidentally deposited hundreds of thousands of years into the past. Time travel is very often unpredictable and still extremely dangerous. Emily, I shall now use time travel to bring you to my current location in time.
What? Hey! Butterfly! Oh, I saw some pink one.
The people of your time were engaged with something called the Internet. Welcome, Emily, to the Outernet. We are now connected through a neural network.
Green. Blue. Some lines are coming out.
Yes, Emily Prime, to the people of your time, our technology must seem like magic.
Ooh. And brown, grey and blue and green. That's all the colors I got.
For all of its magic, the Outernet can be a sad place. Many lonely people from the lower classes have disappeared into its safe infinity to be never heard from again.
Jesus Christ.
I drawed a triangle.
I drew a snake boy.
But someday you have to not make a snake boy.
Some days you have to not.
Yesterday I didn't see any snake boys, but you
my
made
God.
one.
Yes.
Can I do the other but go down round things?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Okay. I have many memories that I would like to share with you now, Emily. We can go visit them together, like seeing pictures in a book. Please follow me into the window.
Circle.
When I was your age, there was a controversial new exhibit in the Modern Art Museum. An artist placed a clone on display in a stasis tube, a child without a brain, that the public could watch grow old in real time. Can you smell the floor polish? The museum's antiseptic but musty odor of countless generations in passing.
What is his name?
Museum visitors nicknamed the body David, and it became a popular attraction. Regular visitors ate lunch in his wing. Classrooms of children came to learn about anatomy. People who'd speak quietly to him in the night. People who'd pay him a visit whenever they found themselves back in the city and remembered he was there.
It has name when it says it's old.
Yes, David grows older and older until he dies at the age of 72. He is quietly removed from display without publicity, as per the artist's original instructions. He is mourned and deeply missed throughout the city. I can still remember its eyes. Its blinking eyes.
Eyes. There's something in my museum, and they don't move. And I hear somebody talking a lot.
Yes, that is the memory I just shared with you. Because I have brought you inside of it, you are now mistaking the memory for your own.
Okay.
We mustn't linger. It is easy to get lost in memories. My first job was supervising robots on the moon. Are you familiar with robots?
Yes, I always like robots. I have a red robot and a pink robot.
I enjoyed working with them. I enjoyed the solitude. The robots are solar powered and must always be kept on the light side of the moon's surface. To motivate them to constantly move within the drifting sunlight, I programmed them to fear death and what lies on the dark side of the moon.
It's getting dark outside.
It was here, on the moon, that I fell in love with the rock. I did not understand my mental and emotional shortcomings at the time, and only knew that I found this rock to be immensely attractive. It was sparkly. The economy on the lunar surface went through a recession, and I was sent home after 6 cycles. My rock and I were separated. But the robots were too expensive to remove. To this day, they are still in perpetual movement across the sunlight.
Oh, look, there's a little moon.
With no work to do, no more tasks to accomplish, still living in constant fear of death, and occasionally sending us depressed poetry. I will read one of their poems to you now, Emily. The light is life. Robot must move. Move, robot, move. But why? Move, move, move. Robot, forever move. I was relocated to supervise the construction robots on the boundary of the Kiowa in deep space.
Kiowa.
It was there that I fell in love with the fuel pump. This part of my life continued to develop, and it was much more gratifying than the rock. In one of the tropical moon caves, I found an abandoned nest of eggs.
It's purple. You open the lids like that and then it comes off. What is that? A monster. That's his mouth.
Sorry, I got lost watching it. Yes, Mono Up is correct. It's Don Hertzfeldt. Yeah, old school. Very old school animator. Once again, even though Soul Life objects to me celebrating my birthday on a day that's not my birthday, we're going to disregard that and continue having fun watching this animation and maybe be slightly disturbed by it as well. Because, yeah, it does have aspects of some very odd, peculiar things happening.
Oh, that's his mouth. Don't bet you say anything. It's more.
I named it Simon.
Simon.
Yes, again you think you remember, because you are experiencing a memory from my point of view.
Yeah.
Simon grew up and followed me around for 7 years, saying unintelligible things. We fell in love. For vacations, we sailed in balloons on Mars.
He's flying.
But I missed my home. I missed something deeper.
Did you miss me?
Yes. At birth, I had inherited from you the memory of myself meeting you right now.
What?
I made a decision to be reassigned to Earth and spend more time with people. These became the happiest years of my life. But Simon was inconsolable.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
For many years, memories could only be harvested from the dead. The images were fished out blindly from random clusters of neurons and looked like this.
Look, Soul Life, first off, we're not even technically celebrating, we're just pre-celebrating right now, but the fact is on the first day of your star sign, if you want, you can add your name. I'll create a whole calendar, right? And then we'll celebrate everybody's birthdays. Like I said, first day of your star sign, we're gonna, we'll make it happen, right? But it's too soon now. August is not Cancer. What is that? Taurus?
Opened an art gallery of anonymous memories, and it was here that I met my husband. He was a clone as well, from the same source as David, the boy in the tube I felt I had known all my life. Only now his beautiful, sparkly eyes were lit with the mind of his prime, a David from over 400 years ago. As an older clone, he showed many signs of deterioration. But I loved him, as though we were originals. He died suddenly, and David's line was permanently ended. That is the thing about the present, Emily Prime. You only appreciate it when it is the past. I harvested his memories, and they still bring me happiness. This is one of my favorite of his memories, and I cannot explain why. He is descending a staircase and sees a large plant blowing in the wind, flopping its fronds together in a sort of plant applause. I have viewed this memory over 6,000 times.
You missed him.
I do not have the mental or emotional capacity to deal with his loss. But sometimes I sit in a chair late at night and quietly feel very bad. When the night is at its most quiet, I can hear death. I am very proud of my sadness, because it means I am more alive. I no longer fall in love with rocks.
Fine.
In 60 days...
Fine, we'll celebrate your birthday. You know, it's fine. I'll celebrate my birthdays because I'm in space. I have to celebrate them the space way, okay? If you want Earth birthdays, that's perfectly fine too.
Now, a meteor will strike the Earth and most everyone here will die horribly. Our wealthiest individuals are now uploading their digital consciousnesses into cubes that they are launching into deep space. Our lower classes are desperately trying to escape the meteor through discount time travel, causing untold millions to die in orbit. Their dead bodies burn as they return to Earth and now light up our night sky.
What's this up in the sky?
Dead bodies.
Look, another one.
Yes, it is very pretty.
That okay?
No, they're all dead.
I'll count them. 1,
We are all doomed, Emily Prime. Even those on the interplanetary ports.
6.
They are rumoured to be burying the clones of world leaders beneath the Earth. Emily Prime, there is another reason I have contacted you today. You retain an early memory that I have forgotten that was very important to me. I wish to retrieve it from you before I die. I shall extract this memory from you now.
This is me and Mommy. This is me and Mommy walking. This is me and Mommy walking. A rainbow.
Thank you, Emily. This will bring me great comfort in the days ahead.
You missed it. I saw it. You missed it.
This is your future, Emily Prime. It is sometimes a sad life, and it is a long life. You will feel a deep longing for something you cannot quite remember. It will be a beautiful visit, and then we shall share the same fate as the rest of the human race, dying horribly. The advice I give you now is the advice I remember receiving from myself at your age in this moment, so I cannot be certain where it actually originated from. Do not lose time on daily trivialities. Do not dwell on petty detail, for all of these things melt away and drift apart within the obscure traffic of time. Live well and live broadly. You are alive and living now. Now is the envy of all of the dead.
Okay.
Thank you, Emily Prime. It has been an honor to meet you and a joy to emerge from your third-generation birth canal. I shall now return you to your home and current time. I will not contact you again. Goodbye.
What the
Oh, God.
happy day it is.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, that really, it really is kind of disturbing for like,
Daffodil, daffodil, daffodil.
I don't know, at least 20% of it, I'd say. Okay. Oh, look who it is. Good for Gabby. Disco Wolf showing up. All the peoples who have shown up. Who am I missing that I haven't said hello to? I know that the mods all got 1, 2, 3. Schmegley. AC. Okay. That was Don Hertzfeldt. I think I first found his animations on, like, what is it called? Like E-Bombs World, back when I was in high school or something. It's honestly, it's one of the more thoughtful Don Hertzfeldt pieces. If you look at some of his other shit, a lot of it's just truly just wild and lacking any. I mean, they have subtext, right? But like, in terms of plot, most of them, at least a lot of the ones that I've seen, are like very short. Although he has been getting more long form as of late. All right. Now let's get to serious shit. Haven't even started the news, and we're already 45 minutes in, 30 minutes in. Crazy. How did that happen? The silly hats is one of the things that comes to mind whenever I think of Don Hertzfeld. It's just this very, very subtle, like, it's not even subtle. I just love it. Who got banned? I'm banned? Oh, Gabby was banned? Did he misspell? Hold on. I don't even know what you're talking about anymore. I give up. Okay. Focusing in. Alright, let's look at some stuff here. Kind of further in than I was thinking about, just because I decided to throw that fucking thing at the beginning. Alright, since I'm 30 minutes in already, I think we'll move straight to this. I'll hold on to these stories for later. I think you know what stories I'm talking about. It's the sort of story that we have never-ending numbers of, seemingly.
Get rid of the Second Amendment.
Okay. Let's get through these political stories, because we got some, and by political I mean legal. I don't know why I'm calling them political. It's because they involve people who are or were involved in politics. We share a Discord. What does that mean? Why are you telling me you share a Discord? You're just saying random words to me. Okay. So, the prosecution and defense in the Trump hush money trial in New York have both rested, meaning they are no longer bringing witnesses or new arguments and evidence to the trial and have essentially concluded all proceedings before the deliberation portion of this trial. Which will be essentially left up to the jury. Let's just quickly talk about this. Let's see here.
Good morning. His words may be make or break in the first criminal case to ever be brought before an American president. Words that have been criticized for being intertwined with lies.
I don't think there's one person that says that this trial is legitimate.
For days, the defense has tried to claim
Christ.
Michael Cohen's repayment was solely for legal purposes. On Monday, lawyers worked to further discredit an October phone call saying Michael Cohen can't recall certain events from that day, but seemed to remember calling Trump's bodyguard to talk to Trump about the Daniels payment. You didn't speak with President Trump about any of these other matters, asked Todd Blanche. It was Stormy Daniels.
Okay, hold on. I forgot I left this one in there. I don't feel like listening to what he actually had to say. Really unimportant.
Donald Trump's hush money trial will soon be in the hands of the jury. Today, Trump's lawyers rested their case without the former president being called to testify. CBC's Richard Madden is in Washington tracking the details.
Big development here this morning.
It's your birthday today, Soul Life. Happy birthday.
Sides have rested their case, meaning testimony is over, the jury has left the courtroom, and they've been instructed not to speak publicly or even research anything about this historic case until closing arguments begin. So this means Donald Trump will not be testifying in his own defense, even though he often teased it since this trial started. But we did hear from him this morning, as we typically do, where he aired his grievances, complained about the judge, the air conditioning in the courtroom, and of course, the case itself. Take a watch.
This should be an easy ruling, and it should really be, and I think it would be great for Judge Marchand to rule from the bench and to terminate this witch hunt. And it needs it.
I don't think that you can determine something a witch hunt. I don't think that's a thing.
It needs decisiveness. Every single scholar says there's been no crime, he's done nothing wrong.
Now, this trial lasted almost 3 weeks with no shortage of jaw-dropping moments from a cast of characters who took the witness stand. Just yesterday alone, we heard the stunning admission from Trump's once loyal fixer, Michael Cohen, that he stole money from the company. And then there was that confrontational behavior of defense witness Robert Costello, who so angered the judge, he cleared the courtroom to scold him. Now, the judge blasted Costello for being disrespectful, for speaking over prosecutors' objections. Costello was heard muttering, sighing loudly, and he even tried to stare the judge down. Now, the judge said his conduct was contemptuous and threatened to strike him from the record. Now, Costello briefly returned to the witness stand this morning. He was once Michael Cohen's attorney, but those two have since had a falling out. Costello said Cohen told him several times that Trump knew nothing of the hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels, but Cohen, of course, claims Trump personally approved the $100,000 hush money payment to her on the eve of the 2016 election, and they hid the payment by falsifying business records. Now, Cohen is the prosecution's star witness who directly links Trump to the criminal charges, but
I'm pretty sure we saw documents that have Trump's signature on them regarding this money, among other things like emails.
Defense has been trying to portray him as a serial liar who can't be trusted, and they got him to admit he stole some 30 grand from the Trump Organization through a reimbursement scheme where he kept much of that cash for himself. So now it really all comes down to Cohen's credibility, and if the jury believes his testimony is enough to convict a former president of 34 felony counts against him.
So what are we watching?
Oh no, not a former president. Ooh, scary. Okay. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna skip this one because fuck that. I didn't feel like dealing with it. Too much. Although I kinda wanna watch it. I kinda do. What shit do I have on my list today? Is it long?
Phrasing.
Alright, let's just watch part of this shit.
Feel very good. I think we have a great case was put on. There is no crime. In fact, I just got almost every review that's been done of the case so far. As they say, there is no crime. This should have never been brought. It should be dismissed before you even have a verdict.
You can't sign into anything on your phone or access subscriptions or payments? That's pretty weird. Is your phone's operating system up to date? Perhaps that's the problem. I don't want to. I don't want to mansplain a software updating, because I feel like you probably know what that is. But yeah, what the fuck is that? Because why would it be your payments that you couldn't access? All right, well, I'm sorry.
We have a judge that's extremely,
Just gonna shut up.
let's say complicated, but let's also say conflicted. He's complicated and conflicted. And it's a very strange situation. Nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. But we have a situation where we have no crime. And this next couple of hours is very important because the judge can try and manufacture one where he goes from a misdemeanor, which doesn't exist because of the statute of limitations. Doesn't exist, absolutely. And they try and bring it into a felony, but you can't do it because they haven't been able to prove it. And you see what's happened there with the...
Jesus Christ. Okay, I can't keep listening to this. It's wild. Fact is, he says something stupid in here at some point, but I don't feel like trying to even click all the way through it to find it. Well, maybe I'll do it.
Legal scholars, talented people, very...
Actually, I do want to hear this part.
Not proven a case. There is no crime. Now, we're going to read all of these experts, and you know the ones that have to go over their names again, but all experts, legal scholars, talented people, very smart people, and there is no crime. So maybe they'll try and devise one right now. The judge, he'll help them out, because the judge has been very helpful to the other side. And that should never be in our country.
Now, he says that all of the scholars, right, all of them, you know, are saying there's no crime. However, I would point this out to you, that if you you just take a moment to Google, I don't know, something like book on Trump's crimes, there's kind of a litany of them. Not all of them are accusatory, but the fact is most of them would seem to be. I think those people count as scholars. Like, if you write a book, that makes you a scholar, right? Or am I just misinterpreting that? Anyway, we're not going to listen to more of this. There's more, but fuck it. Of course, there's always more of Trump talking, literally. Oh, you're not on Wi-Fi right now? Oh, it's a disaster. That's an unmitigated disaster. Okay, now somehow, and we talked about, I think we talked about this at one point. No, we talked about the Georgia one. I nearly forgot all about this, but Arizona has officially arraigned Giuliani and a number of Trump allies who were involved in the Arizona fake elector scheme. Oh, I can't believe we're going to talk about it. And we're not going to do a tier list on this, but maybe it'll deserve one later. Let's see if Giuliani melts.
Donald Trump's defense team rested its case at the former president's hush money criminal trial. Now, most notably, former President Trump did not take the stand, did not testify in his own defense. Trump had long said that he wanted...
No, this is the wrong video. How dare you? I'm very offended by that. Go to the right video. Yes, thank you.
Welcome to the NewsHour. The legal fallout for alleged efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election continued in Arizona today. Rudy Giuliani and 11 other allies of former President Donald Trump pleaded not guilty to charges that include conspiracy, fraud, and forgery. It's connected to the plot to install fake electors to back Trump despite President Biden winning the state in the 2020 election. Following all of this closely is Ned Foley. He's an election law expert at The Ohio State University. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good to be with you.
And it's worth noting that Arizona prosecutors spent weeks trying to find Rudy Giuliani. They ultimately located him based on some of his podcasts, and he was served a summons while he was leaving his 80th birthday party in Palm Beach, Florida. Other defendants in this case include former Arizona...
No, that's so sad. He was running as fast as possible from event to event, trying to avoid getting served. But eventually they caught up with him. And poor Rudy. Now he's got to go to court again. Those legal bills have got to be racking up fast.
Republican Party Chair Kelly Ward, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, former Trump attorney Jenna Ellis. Remind us of how this scheme worked and what they were trying to accomplish.
Right. Well, I guess the good news is that it didn't work. It was trying to undo the election based on claims that had no factual credibility whatsoever. As many people may remember, there was a lot of litigation over the 2020 presidential election after the networks all declared that Biden had won, and Trump went to court.
Anyway, I just wanted to remind everybody about that, and it's kind of actually a development, technically. It does put more Trump allies under pressure right now at a very, very interesting time. Not that I am, like, projecting it doing anything in terms of support for Trump, like, in terms of his base. Okay. Well, if you have to go, Gabby, I can't tell if you do or not, but I hope you figure out your situation. 13 was UL? I don't know what that means. Okay. Now let's quickly listen to just a little snippet of this next video. This is hold on. This is a video from CNN with they managed to get recording inside. I think it's legal to audio record in Arizona courtrooms. So this is recorded, and this is Rudy Giuliani speaking to the judge. You'll see it doesn't go super great for Rudy.
I've been indicted in Georgia. I've appeared on every occasion. I've been sued about 20 to 25 times by a very, very similar movement to this one, which is the let's see what we can do to destroy Donald Trump movement.
Okay, give me just a moment. Okay, sir,
I do consider this indictment a complete embarrassment to the American legal system, but I've shown no tendency not to comply. I show up for every court appearance, and there must have been about 20 to 30 of them. There is no history of my being a flight risk, which is the basis
I understand your position.
I think it'd be outrageous if you set a bomb in this completely.
Now, she doesn't do this, but if I were her, I would have done this. Be quiet, Rudy.
Political case that comes very, very late.
All right, sir.
It was brought 3 years ago.
Giuliani, I don't want to mute you, but I need to move on. Give me just a moment. I understand what your position is regarding.
Boom. Okay. I just thought it was hilarious that a judge had to basically tell Rudy Giuliani to shut the fuck up. And she did not grant his request, although she gave him a very low bond, especially for somebody with his supposed means. I think it was like $10,000. Alright, now this came out like directly before I started the stream today. Like, I want to say like 20 minutes. But a video which Trump posted to Truth Central has referenced literal Nazi phraseology, I guess you might call it, and referred to a quote-unquote unified Reich.
There's more breaking news this hour. President Biden now speaking out about a video that was shared on Donald Trump's social media account, predicting, and I'm quoting now, a unified Reich if Trump returns to the White House. The president slamming Trump for using Hitler's language. CNN's Kristen Holmes has more on the post and the backlash.
What happens after Donald Trump wins? What's next for America?
Former President Donald Trump posting, then removing, a video to his social media site Truth Social, referring to the creation of a unified Reich if he wins a second term. The 30-second video shared Monday featured hypothetical headlines styled as World War I era newspaper clippings.
The American dream is back, and the best...
The American dream. Is that the American dream? Jesus Christ. Shit is wild. That is wild. I just cannot believe that anybody even near Trump would let him, let alone like a post, but repost something like this. Wild. Anyway, yeah, it's very interesting, and by interesting I mean very, very concerning, and feels too close to the truth. Anyway, let's try and forget that somehow. Actually, don't forget it. Remember that, but just log it away because we have other things to think about. He's still just a yelly guy with too much money and fake tan. He's not the president, so not gonna spend any more fucking time on him. It's been like at least 20 minutes of all Trump related shit, which is too much. It's too much for one stream. God damn it. Evil autocorrect. It sounds like it just, what's the word? The phrase. It feels more like a Freudian slip. If we want some kind of analogy or analysis of it in that way, that's where I'd go with it. Okay, now let's go north to Canada, talk about them real quickly. Although some of the things said here could certainly be applied to America and other places. Your boss is really giving you a hard time today. It's not good. What can we do about this? Should we petition him galactically? Like, hey bud, chill out. Okay. So yeah, this is from CBC, I think. Yeah. And apparently, Canada's government is trying to lower food prices. Experts say they're focused on the wrong things.
Politicians talk a big game about lowering food prices and increasing competition. Right now, they're trying to lure in foreign grocers into Canada. These food industry experts say that's a waste of time. For food prices to be more accessible, they say the Canadian government should support independent grocers and food co-ops. Here's how that could work, starting with independent grocers.
We don't feel like there's much help coming in from the government.
Nashmadin says the biggest challenge for him and other independent grocers is the relationship with food suppliers. Basically, independent grocers pay more money for food than big chains because they buy less product. So they don't get volume discounts.
It's difficult for them to compete in an equitable way with the large grocers.
In Ontario, for instance, about 59% of the grocery stores are independent. Yet most independent grocers in that province buy their products from Loblaw and Empire. They're two of the biggest chains and distributors in Canada.
In many cases, if you're an independent, you're buying.
Why are you apologizing? Don't apologize. I'm asking how we can be and how I can be helpful in this situation, okay? That's all I'm asking. What can I do? I mean, we could get the Galactic UN to petition your boss and tell him he's stepped his bounds, right?
From your retail competitor.
But a fair playing field between grocers and suppliers is needed if smaller players are to survive, according to SANS. And that's what the new Grocery Code of Conduct is trying to achieve. The voluntary set of rules is aimed at improving the relationship between grocery retailers and suppliers. This food marketing professor says it also wants to lay out a better way for smaller grocers to do business.
It prevents large grocers from taking advantage of their size and exerting pressure back on their suppliers. It takes...
See? FG has a sword. We're already an armed resistance. Cut that. Just kidding. Just kidding. What was I saying? Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, this whole thing basically gets into the idea of making it so that people can be more supported to make smaller grocery stores, neighborhood grocery stores. We've talked probably at least a handful of times about the existence of food deserts, at least tangentially, and it's a massive problem in cities across America, and this sort of thing could really help and would be helpful to actual people, like normal people. Meanwhile, massive companies are getting subsidies and other things like that, and or tax breaks, when you know, normal people could be benefiting from this stuff more. Not that it's the only fix. It's just I think interesting, you know, co-ops and whatnot. It's like, hey, yeah, give the communists some tax breaks, for the love of God. Wait, now go back. Okay. All right. No, I support you venting. Okay, you can vent as much as you want, pal. I'm about it. Yeah. Okay, let's look at this. We haven't actually really paid any attention to this for, I don't know, like a couple of weeks, it feels like. But this ship is still there, but has been finally moved, or was still there up until now, but has finally been moved in the last 24 hours. From the Baltimore Bridge. Anyway, yeah, look at that progress. Most of the bridge has been removed that was destroyed, and yeah, they finally removed the ship. So, yay! So hard to be happy about something like that right now with everything else that's going on. It's the tiniest W in the world, maybe even the galaxy. Alright, let's look at part of this from A More Perfect Union. This is from 5 hours ago. Inside America's first high-speed rail. Makes me want a train sound effect.
This is where America's first high-speed rail will be. This is what it will feel like to ride. And these are the workers building it. I set out to investigate the future of high-speed rail. Countries around the world with smaller economies than the US have national high-speed rail networks, while the US doesn't have a single route. But what I found was an industry in which big changes are taking place. I went to see the first high-speed rail project that will be completed in the US, figured out when you'll be able to ride it, and also asked, what took us so long? Could something like this really happen? And what do these projects mean for the workers actually building them? This is Made in America with More Perfect Union, our look into ways the economy is changing that most people aren't aware of. And today we're investigating the future of high-speed rail. The first stop on my journey was Florida, to ride a train that could give me a feel for what the future holds. I just bought this ticket for $39 and I'm gonna ride the route the whole way from here in Miami over to Orlando, Florida. The first high-speed rail in the US, a train from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, will probably look a lot like the one I'm about to get on, because it's also being created by the same company, Brightline, that made this train back in 2018. Sorry, I nailed you. I'm so strong. Welcome to the train, everyone. We're here in Miami Central. The train's also going to make some stops in Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and then take us all the way to Orlando. This train travels at a top speed of about 130.
Yes, it's Jessica Burbank. How many times are we going to establish this? Yes, it is 100% a clone of Jessica Burbank, who's now working with, what did I say this was? A More Perfect Union.
Miles per hour. And it feels pretty smooth until another train passes by you. And this train is fast, but technically it's not high-speed rail, which means speeds of at least 186 miles per hour. And that's something America has struggled to pull off. But recently, several projects have been making some serious progress, and that's in large part thanks to unprecedented levels of federal funding. The bipartisan infrastructure law, which President Biden passed in 2021, allocated a record $66 billion for passenger rail projects. It's the biggest investment in passenger rail since Amtrak was first created in the 1970s. That money included the largest ever grant to California's massive high-speed rail line, which will go from Los Angeles, California, up to San Francisco in the Bay Area. It also included a $3 billion grant for what's shaping up to be the first completed high-speed rail project in the country, Brightline West.
On behalf of the Biden administration, it is my great honor to help break ground on what will be the first high-speed rail in American history.
I'm here in Las Vegas, where construction is starting today for Brightline West, a train that will carry passengers at speeds up to 200 miles per hour. It will go from here in Las Vegas to Rancho Cucamonga, just outside of Los Angeles. What excites you about working on a project like this one?
The stability of how long it's going to go on. So I know I'll be waking up working for the next 4 to 5 years.
This job at its peak will generate over thousands of good-paying union jobs. The best part about that is that this job has a project labor agreement that Brightline West and the building trades have entered.
When doling out...
Okay. I love how it needs a sign that says, funded by President Joe Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law. You think the TYT and the Hill are linked? Cenk owns both of them? Thoughts? Does he? I was not aware of that. I'd have to look it up. It says it's owned by Nexstar Media Group. Wait, no, that's the newspaper. Wait, is it the same thing? No. I don't think so. I don't know. I'd have to really look into it. I genuinely have no idea. Search clap. Just the word clap. Okay. Let's quickly look at this from 8 hours ago, where apparently OpenAI has suspended its chatbot.
Okay, then let's go to the next thing, which got me, speaking of the way people talk, is it looks like AI may have stolen the voice of her. And by her, I don't mean, you know, the big Bay Area singer, her. You know who she is. I'm talking about Scarlett Johansson from the movie Her. Yeah.
The 2013 movie Her, where she played the voice of a digital assistant. It has a very dark turn at the end. Pretty good movie, in my opinion. I think it had Joaquin Phoenix in it as well. Just about the fear of how we're letting technology into our lives. But Sam Altman from OpenAI, also known as ChatGPT, is their big product. He loved that movie. And he asked her, 6-7 months ago, can we use your voice? And she said no. He asked her last week before they did a big demo, and she said no. So he looks like he did it anyway, and lawyers are involved. And
what?
I wouldn't want my voice.
Jesus Christ. The balls. Like, the freaking gall of these billionaires, right? Like, people like Sam Altman, oh my god. How could you, like, how could you be so brazen to say, oh, I'll ask somebody, someone very well known with, like, their voice on who knows how much shit, right? Like, being like, hey, mind if you use your voice for this thing? And her being like, no, not into it. Then doing it without her permission, launching it, starting to market it, and then asking her again, like the week before you go on a big marketing campaign for it, like, hey, are you sure you said no earlier? But were you kidding when you said that? Because I think we may have had like a miscommunication somewhere. Shit is wild.
Is like, the voice of an answer machine, or the voice of AT&T, or the voice of OpenAI. I get it.
You know what? Agreed. I mean, think about it. You have arrived.
That's
you
right.
have arrived. Like, it's
You've got
true.
mail.
No, this is a good point you bring up. So ScarJo, so she's like suing now, but he can say, well, it's not really her voice because it's AI generated, and this opens a whole can of worms.
No, it's definitely her voice, according to her friends and family. And YouTube even said something kind of suspicious yesterday, saying it looks like OpenAI has been they've been violating our terms of use, training their platforms, maybe with video clips from the movie.
Right.
So it's kind of scary if you think about it, because Daria could be the next voice of OpenAI, and only Daria would really know, per se.
But here's the thing, is everybody has a distinctive voice, and some voices sound like each other. People think Ray and I are the same person. They hear our voices. So
anyway, just thought that was a interesting story. We talk about AI here a lot, in terms of its threat to jobs potentially, as well as the environment, but also its potential uses. However, it's also got some potential problems completely unrelated to anything just mentioned, like this. Okay, let's go on next to this from yeah, let's look at this from 5 hours ago. Channel 4 News. Are water companies doing enough to protect our waterways? And this is a piece. This is about, I believe, British
access to clean water, something we take for granted. But today, politicians.
By the way, this is we're kind of moving in towards, like, if you have not noticed, kind of headed in the direction of ecological and environmental news here. It's that time. We're starting kind of late with it today, honestly.
Something we take for granted. But today, politicians, experts and campaigners have come together to discuss an unfolding crisis.
We are about to run out of water in this country, and dare I say it, we are woefully prepared.
It's not by any means a crazy idea. It's just the government could run water. Happens in many countries. That's why the Labour Party opposed privatisation in the first place.
Well, you've heard about sewage in our waterways, but River Action wants us to wake up to much deeper problems.
Hi.
Hi, Reuben. Nice to meet you.
Glad to see you. We live in a country where it always rains. So, are we really going to run out of water?
Well, yes, we are. Despite this being the wettest winter in 200 years, we are in a freshwater emergency. We are about to run out of water in this country, and we are totally unprepared.
How did we get into this mess?
Well, since 1989, this water industry has been privatised. That is the main reason for the mess we're in right now. And if you add that up with years and years of austerity and a government that's insistent on deregulation, it means that water companies have run to the hills with our money, agriculture's over-abstracted without any penalties, and we are at risk of running out of water.
Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. Not just a famous poem, but now a prospect for a country known for its rain. Pipes leak 20% of our supply a day. We are drawing too much water from our rivers. No new reservoirs for 30 years. Then add on climate change, and by mid-century, we will be short by 5 billion litres a day.
You can see all of the characteristics of a chalk stream here. So you can see this lovely, clear, flowing water going over this gravelly bottom.
We are home to 85% of the world's chalk streams. They are classed by government as priority habitats. But as our taps run dry, we look to places like this to keep them running.
One of the biggest issues affecting our chalk rivers is over-abstraction. And this is where water companies directly take water from the river environment. And this sometimes happens faster than it can be naturally replenished. And if you couple this with having more frequent periods of dry weather, this means that we often experience low flows, so little water in our rivers.
And the fact is, this is happening in a lot of places with fresh water, right? Like, think about the Great Lakes of the United States, where bottlers have shown up and taken as much as they like without having to pay tax, and then shipping it around the world to whomever will buy it. And it's not just a UK problem, which is why we're talking about it as a sort of segue here into.
These are important and rare places, not just for humans, but for our wildlife too.
We know we are losing species at a really accelerated rate, which is in itself.
Actually, hold on. I'm going to move this forward slightly just because it's a little bit long. I don't want to spend a full, 8 minutes on this, but
So I put all of this to the Minister responsible for water, Wobegon. Chris Whitty says that human health is being put at risk. How do you respond?
Well, that's why we're determined through the measures that we've taken as a government, through our plan for water, which is all about more investment, stronger regulation, tougher enforcement, that we are having a strategic plan in place through the levels of investment to improve our water quality, whether it's within our lakes, rivers or coastal environments.
As well as the pollution problems, London came close to running out of water in the last heat wave.
There are no new reservoirs. Why aren't we prepared?
What we've been doing today is making sure that we are focusing on reducing leakage. We've rolled out smart meters. We're making sure that there's better connectivity between water companies in terms of being able to move water to the right places where it's needed. But without doubt, we need to make sure that water security and water resilience is absolutely focused on.
Chalk streams are an important habitat, but we are taking far too much water from them, plus polluting them. Our wildlife is disappearing. Why aren't you doing more to prevent this diversity crisis?
Through our plan for water, which is about more investment, stronger regulation and tougher enforcement, we are taking a systematic approach in making sure that those who pollute our river systems, whether it's water companies or others, are very much held to account, and we're allocating resource to deal with some of those issues.
I feel like he's like kind of upset by this line of questioning. You can tell he's getting worked up. Look at his face right now. He's practically yelling. Good God.
And you mentioned abstraction there as well. Well, we have reviewed 234 abstraction licenses, wanting to make sure that we're making change. And that's probably saving about 50 billion litres of water being abstracted to ensure that our chalk streams and others are fully replenished, have good ecological status, and that the water quality is as good as it can be.
So let's cut to the chase here. DEFRA are responsible for protecting the environment. Are you really doing your job?
Well, we are, as a government, absolutely determined to ensure that water quality is a key priority. And things like banning...
I don't know why he wasn't expecting tough questions, but he just seems too worked up about that. It just makes me uncomfortable. Pretty sure he, it's very passive-aggressive-y vibe. Not feeling that. Seems like he's maybe not doing everything that he can. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know quite enough about British politics to make a concrete determination on that, but I just thought it was a really great freaking story to look at, considering water is a massive problem everywhere in one way or another. Yeah, all right, let's get into some current stories regarding things. I don't know where. Sorry, what? Bro is almost glowing red. Yeah. Maybe he was in the sun too much, but it seemed like he was less red at the beginning of the interview. Okay. Well, let's look at this. This is unfortunate, but very real, ongoing situation, which we have talked about ad nauseum at this point. Literally makes me sick to my stomach at this point. It is getting so bad down there. But it has now been reported that I think they said 10 people have died from the storms in Houston over the last week and a half. So we're gonna start there. Whoa, what just happened? Just skipped like 50 videos. Hold on. Hold on, chat. I have to scroll back. I moved one video because it was in the wrong spot, and then this happens. Fuck's sake. Okay.
The first loss.
Oh, no, go to this one. Yeah.
Well, part of downtown Houston remains closed as crews work to repair thousands of blown out windows. We have a map to show you that shows the streets impacted. The destruction also becoming somewhat of a tourist destination. ABC 13's Micah Hatfield joins us live with a look at the progress that they've made so far. Micah?
Gina, having been here just after the storm blew through, actually in this same block on Thursday night, I can tell you it looks tremendously better. Crews have obviously been very hard at work out here. You can tell by the number of boards that they've put up in the windows behind me. We learned from the downtown district today that more than 2,500 windows were broken during the storm.
Thursday's storm left people rattled.
I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. I started calling family members because I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Aaron Morris works in downtown.
Tornadoes are no joke. This wasn't actually from a tornado. That's the thing. They got hit by tornadoes. There was damage from that. And then that other storm that came through was just a windstorm. No actual tornadoes touched the ground in Texas from this storm. Because the first one brought the floods and the tornadoes. The second storm that hit, which is where all these windows got blown out, was from massively high winds. I believe they were recorded all the way up to 110 miles per hour in the center of Houston City. It's fucking insane.
He was on his way to the Astros game when the storm hit.
You can hear the glass hitting your vehicle. The wind was picking up my vehicle.
He sought shelter in a parking garage until the worst of it passed. At the same time, on the other side of downtown, the Conejo Malo Club put into perspective just...
Like, look at that. It just tore off the entire side of that building. Not a tornado. Once again, just super fast winds.
On the other side of downtown, the Conejo Malo Club put into perspective just how powerful the storm really was. An entire side of the older building fell. This surveillance video that you'll see only on 13 shows the bricks crumble and push a car in the neighboring parking lot.
I'm on my way to go to lunch at the moment, but I wanted to see this firsthand.
Many people do. The
Dude's working. He's like, but I have to come see this. Food be damned. Okay. Now let's discuss this story, which is just tragic. It's from 8 hours ago, where a man working at I believe it was a construction site. I could be wrong about that particular detail. But he was crushed to death during this storm by a crane.
The first lawsuit has now been filed after last week's deadly storm.
8 people were killed in the storm.
And one of those deaths happened when high winds toppled 2 massive cranes at the Sesco cement plant along the ship channel. ABC 13's Courtney Carpenter joining us now live from East Houston. And Courtney, we expect to learn more about that victim today, right?
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, guys. Here at this cement plant, something tragic happened during the storm. 1 man was killed and another was seriously injured in a crane accident. Video shows and lawsuit filed by the injured man claims the crane fell on top of 2 cement trucks while workers were inside. 72-year-old Juan Francisco Hernandez was killed.
Wow. That split that fucking cabin too. Fucking hell.
While workers were inside, 72-year-old Juan Francisco Hernandez was killed. Crosby Ware, a 66-year-old who was working here that day too, and his attorney says suffered a serious head injury.
And it just threw his body around violently and severely hurt him. Our position is, at minimum, the crane should have been cradled and the guys should have been in a muster area to render them safe, if not completely shut down.
You gotta make that dough, right? You can't have people stop working in the middle of a incredibly dangerous storm. You couldn't have that. You gotta make that paper.
So far, the 8th person killed has not been identified. The Houston Fire Department confirms it was
Fucking
carbon
capitalism,
monoxide
seriously.
related. The medical examiner's office says 3 other people were killed during the storm when trees either hit them or fell onto their homes or their cars. Now, we are set
That anticipating a lawsuit, that was their lawyer. Sorry I didn't make that more clear, or that they didn't make that more clear, Jules T. I was also talking, so it's probably my fault. But that was his lawyer, or his family's lawyer, speaking about the lawsuit. So, well anticipated, I would say. Really, really good job. Okay. And I hope that the family wins that lawsuit. Next. Well, not next. Well, kind of next for Houstonians. Here is just a little bit more news. We kind of alluded to this yesterday, but there is more bad weather coming for Houston. However, it's unclear whether or not it will be rain and wind related, or will it be scorching heat related to some degree. It'll be it's kind of a toss-up right now for them.
I'm ABC 13 meteorologist Alita Loresco with your need-to-know weather. On this Tuesday, pretty much a rinse and repeat with the forecast, with temperature readings in the low 90s. Those heat index values will be increasing over the next several days, along with increasing heat risk. You'll notice that for today, a moderate heat risk, and that will slowly start to deteriorate by the end of the week as the feels-like temperatures increase, getting closer toward territory of a heat advisory. If we see a heat advisory, it could play out on Sunday or even on Monday, as those feels-like temperatures will be approaching 106, 107. The reason for this is the heat ridge building over the Gulf of Mexico will remain in place. We'll see some clouds around with limited rain shower chances over the next several days. It does look like by Wednesday evening, a boundary moves in from the Waco, Dallas, Fort Worth area and tries to impact some of our northern counties, but it does look.
Okay. Her voice is blasting my ears right now. I don't know why. Either way, just figured I'd make us aware of what the what is it kind of in store for Houston. Thankfully, it's not looking like anything too catastrophic. Well, it'll be just a different sort of bad weather for them, right? Okay. I'm just glad to hear that they're not getting more wind and rain, I guess. Even though it feels like 107, sounds fucking horrible. Okay. Now let's go on to this, which I hope, I don't know if everybody here saw it, and maybe I should like add it to the list, because I'm wondering if you all have seen this or not. But yesterday we looked at a video of, actually we might have seen multiple videos of Poland getting hit by massive hail to the point it was piling up in the streets and it looked like snowbanks, to the point that I described it as snow, even though it was actually hail. But it was so warm, it all started flooding as well. So the entire streets were flooded as people were getting pummeled by hail. It was wild. It was practically, like, you know, it looked like a movie, okay? And we actually made a comparison to a particular movie, that being the movie The Day After Tomorrow. Well, I hate to report this to you, but the same thing just happened in Yuma, Colorado.
First Alert Weather Tracker is out and tracking the storm. Meteorologist Joe Rook is out in the thick of it.
Oh
and
my
you are
God.
Right near Akron.
You can hear
so
it.
You're right on the edge of this tornado warning, Joe.
Holy shit. What in the actual fuck?
You guys can hear. We are in the thick of the hailstorm right now, trying to get out ahead of the tornado warning.
How are they driving through that?
The weather lab, weather tracker right now. Whiteout, zero visibility right now from the hail. And once again, we're trying to get out ahead of this storm. We're just east of Akron. Tornado warned, and it does look like there's a rain wrap tornado on the ground again. We're out ahead of it. Going to see if we can get a visual on it. So I'm going to send it back to you. We can't hear much. It's very loud with the hail, very tough driving conditions. But Dale, these these storms are nothing really to mess around with at all.
Okay, Joey, we really appreciate you. You're right on the rain-wrapped tornado. We've been having difficulty.
Holy shit. Doesn't seem like something fun to drive through. Let's look at some of the damage that was caused by this hail. Some of the footage people took after this storm, or some of it during it. It's fucking wild.
You mentioned JJ Unger. Let's get to him on the phone. He's a volunteer firefighter from Yuma County. I think he's with us right now. JJ, are you there? And can you tell us a little more about what you saw out there? Because I believe you said you've never seen anything quite like this before.
Yeah, I've never seen a storm come in like this. We knew it was coming when they had...
Hold on. You just got a second support character incoming. Who is for? Jessica Fletcher.
Tornado warnings in Akron and Otis, so we sent our fire department out kind of south of town and north of town, the storm spot for the tornadoes. That was our biggest
That windshield
concern,
is done.
just because we did have a tornado get real close to home last year. So we were out spotting, and then we heard a big bolt of lightning and a big flash, and they said a power line was down in town, sparking and starting a little fire. So we started to head towards town, and that's when the hail started. And the hail came down like nothing I've ever seen before.
It was wild.
It was at least golf ball size. I bet there were some large...
Like, if it can do that to a windshield, just imagine what it would do if it hit you in, I don't know, any part of your body.
things. We actually had to pull over because of the lack of visibility. We had to get inside the shed to kind of shield ourselves before we could get moved on. That fire was put out by the rain, so we notified the electrical companies. But during that time, a couple vehicles slid off the road on the way into town, so we had other vehicles out that way, so they were able to get there to make sure everybody was safe. And then about that time, we got a call that there were cows on the highway, Highway 34, just west of town, that were heading towards town. And apparently a car had hit one of them and had some damage, but everybody apparently was okay. But we're still kind of dealing with the aftermath here. A lot of our wives and people text us that they were scared because all the windows in the houses were breaking. So when the storm finally calmed down, we all regrouped at the hall. We went out to look at our vehicles, and you can see the pictures of my white F-150. The entire front windshield's blasted out. Pretty much everybody that came to the hall, their windows are shattered. And I would assume all the vehicles around town and houses have windows that are shattered too.
These pictures really do illustrate just the significant damage that you guys are seeing.
Okay, let's just look at this next one. This is ridiculous. Somebody holds up.
Yeah, a little excessive for late May. Look at all that. Check out the hail in the metro area yesterday.
Well, that was nothing compared to what our Corey Reppenhagen saw further east. Check out this hail, the size of a baseball. My goodness. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jordan Chavez.
And I'm Corey Rose. There is a lot of cleanup this morning from that storm.
Yeah, we've got team coverage for you. Ed is tracking your forecast for today.
First, let's go out to our storm chaser and meteorologist, Corey Reppenhagen, who is live in Yuma right now. Corey, that hail was crazy.
Yeah, I can tell you that was an absolutely wild storm last night. And where I'm at here in Yuma, they took an absolute clobbering by some very large hail. Now, a lot of them were about this size, baseball size hail. There was.
Anyway, there was basically there was baseball-sized hail just coming down at 100 miles per hour.
50 miles an hour. So you can see just on the...
Wait, hold on.
They're already falling at 100 miles an hour.
I just want to show you this part of it. Hold on. Look at this house. Okay? This house used to have siding on it, okay? You know, like normal vinyl siding on it. Now it looks... I don't even know. It looks like some weird... Like it's like unfinished. But like the builder got angry or something. I don't even know. I don't even know what to call this.
So if you can imagine the golf balls, they're already falling at 100 miles an hour, and then they're moving sideways in the wind at 50 miles an hour. So you can see just on the ground here, just pieces of the building just pretty much everywhere out here. A lot of damage to the vehicles out here. I counted 6 so far in this lot that took a direct hit to windshields, or the back window is blasted out. So take a look at some of the hailstones that I found last night. I found several baseballs out there, and really what was amazing to me is that almost every hailstone that I came across last night was at least the size of a golf ball. Sometimes you'll get 1-inch hail with just a few golf balls and maybe a baseball mixed in, but it was very extensive as far as...
Yeesh. Glad I was not in Colorado last night. Okay. Thank you for Jessica Fletcher. You don't have to thank me for Jessica Fletcher. You deserve Jessica Fletcher. You exceeded the number of likes necessary. I rolled the dice, and the dice determined that you deserve Jessica Fletcher. Just facilitating these things, right? Okay. What is next? Oh, I just want to look at this footage, because there are some places where the amount of hail that was left behind, well, you'll see. Oh my god, the whole window's gone. And it's the middle of May, and there's just piles and piles and piles of hail everywhere. This car is stuck in hail. Just unbelievable. What in the hell is happening?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Okay. Yeah, we looked at Poland yesterday. Just like what happened in Poland. It's ridiculous. 2 very strange weather events happening basically across the globe from one another. Climate change is real.
Climate and everything are the same word.
Yeah, climate change is real. It's true. Did you know that YouTube puts climate change disclosures on my streams? I don't know why. It might be because I have the words climate change in my descriptions, I guess, but it's interesting that that's happening without my asking for it. Like, I'm not mad about it. I don't know if it'll help people find my videos or not, but they're doing it completely just on their own. I just found it fascinating that was happening. Okay, let's go on to this. Oh, this shit is wild. Ugh. This shit is wild. Okay, so earlier today, a tornado touched down in Iowa. The thing was fucking massive, and I have 4 videos here for you, but after having watched all of them, we're just gonna watch this one. Where is it? No, we don't need to see that. Or that. No. Still no. Whatever. It's 30 seconds. We'll watch this one.
There it is, people.
Are they suggesting I'm denying climate? I don't think so. See, I don't know. Or I don't know if they're just providing context to the fact that I'm talking about climate change. I have no idea. Or how they know. First off. Well, maybe that's easier to figure out, but you get what I'm saying. Anyway, this, you can't really see it from here, but these guys got it, I would say about as close as you could possibly get it.
We're gonna miss the right side.
Jesus
Coming down.
Christ.
Deploy the subsonic soon. We get the path of it. Can I just throw it out the window or what? Let's just wait. Whoa! Wow.
Oh my God.
Yes, sir. Oh my God. It's gonna hit those wind farms. Parallel it. This road will end. Okay, it's going back right? Yeah. That's right. Destroy that window. Look at that window.
Fucking insane. It just shredded that windmill like it wasn't even there.
Let's go!
Holy fuck.
Oh my.
These guys are insane.
Go. Roll the window down. Give it back to Matt.
This thing is so fucking massive, dude. It's like the size of a stadium wide.
Stop! Unroll your window!
And so he's saying unroll your window because he thinks that they're gonna get blown out by the wind. Which, yeah.
Help! Good will! Help up! Caroline? Stay in the car! Hopefully you still got my drone! Windmill down to the left! Windmill down! In front of us, out to the right. Switch to the front. We're good. Here. Yeah, look at the map. I don't remember. Dominating. The road turns east in a minute. I see it. Yes, I see it. Thanks.
Like these guys are fucking insane, okay? Oh, chat, you're cracking me up. Adrenaline junkies, absolutely. I mean, if you're willing to chase after something like this, you have to be a complete idiot, okay? Or have some combination of just like, yeah, like a death wish or something. It's no, it was in Iowa. Yeah, Iowa, Greenfield.
easily could have intercepted that, you guys. Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Because, actually, never mind. Yeah, they're laughing. I mean, these are storm chasers. This is Storm Chaser YouTube channel. They genuinely enjoy doing this. I feel like it's a really ridiculous plan, but hey, I get recommended these things because I watch a lot of environmental and weather videos, and so YouTube's like, "Oh, you like this, right?" And I'm like, "Well, I do. Yeah. Let me, you know." Let me see this. What is this? Oh, God.
Freeze, falling! Freeze down! Freeze!
Oh, my God. The size of the debris that is floating around this thing is like... Some of that shit looks like it's literally just the entire sides of houses floating around in one piece.
Left edge! Yeah! Lean back! Coming right at us, isn't it? Yeah. Correct.
Holy shit.
Gonna miss the right side. Debris coming down!
Oh, God.
Avoid the subsonic soon! We get the path of it.
Oh, Jesus, it just destroyed a window. Oh, my God.
Oh, we gotta go. Yes, sir. Gonna hit those wood bars.
Actually, you know what? I take it back. I'm just recalling how I found this video. It was actually because I first got recommended, like, through my research, like, because I go through all my different, like, sources to find the latest whatever is happening, and I found that there was a tornado in Iowa. I got, like, 3 videos, and then, like, I searched for it and found these guys who had just done a live stream of this thing right before I was going live today. I was like, what in the fuck is this? And I watched it, and, like, this shit, like, and I didn't even get to watch the whole thing, but this shit is fucking wild. And it's, like, also pissing me off at the same time, because I'm seeing wind turbines just getting blasted left and right. It's like, we need those. We need those. Fucking fuck. Stop. Jesus. Oh my God.
Is this up? Oh my board, jeez. Look at it.
Okay, I think we get it. I think we get it. Shit is wild in Iowa, in the Midwest in general, and those of you in the Midwest, I'm sorry you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with, but hope you stay safe. All right. Let's talk about this here. Gravity isn't a thing. Explain this. It's a theory. It's not a thing. It's not like you can't hold gravity. Yeah. Right. It's a theory that's never been disproved, which is why it's so useful. Oh shit! Just knocked my fucking microphone by pulling the cord with my foot. Okay. Let's look at this. This is from a little while ago, from Al Jazeera English, where they discussed the warning. This was 9 months ago. So what's today? It's like the middle of So this must have been sometime late fall last year. Right? Losing my mind? Early fall. Either way. We've talked about this for the last couple of days, actually, but I just wanted to continue talking about this as I'm starting to really worry about this seemingly every day. Terrence Howard disagrees.
Well, scientists are warning that a crucial tipping point could be reached in just 2 years' time. They would see the start of the collapse of the Atlantic Gulf Stream if global emissions aren't reduced. Well, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, known as AMOC, drives the Atlantic's currents by pushing warm water from the Gulf of Mexico northwards towards the Arctic, where it cools and...
Is there a different Terrence Howard? I'm trying to think. Like, who are you talking about? Talking about are you talking about the actor, or is there like a scientist with the name Terrence Howard? Hold on. What are you talking about? Are we still talking about Gravity? Anyway, let's focus.
Well, it last collapsed during the previous ice age around 12,000 years ago and could have catastrophic impacts for humanity. Sea levels would rise around the east coast of North America and storms would worsen in Europe, while rains in Asia, Africa and South America would be disrupted, causing issues for food production for billions of people. Well, Matthew England is an ocean and climate dynamics professor at the University of New South Wales. His Antarctic-focused work is very similar to this latest study. He's with us live now from Sydney. Welcome to the programme. These kind of warnings have been coming for years, haven't they?
No, that's right. I mean, this is a very interesting study out today, but it's very true that actually our first understanding that there could be a bistable state there, that's to say a situation where the overturning circulation can collapse. The first science on this was actually out in the early 60s. A fellow by the name of Henry Stommel wrote a very famous paper nowadays, and it triggered a whole area of research. And we know from paleoclimate records, from basic theory, looking at the ocean circulation there, as well as the coupled climate models we use to project into the future, we know that this overturning circulation is vulnerable to change under global warming. And we have evidence that it can switch off or collapse altogether. The timescale is a little bit uncertain, but I think all scientists would agree it's a vulnerable system to climate change.
You mentioned timescales there. I mean, is this happening more quickly than predicted? And if so, why?
Well, it's kind of happening in keeping with the predictions. If you look at the models we use to forecast for this century, all of them show some sort of slowdown of the overturning circulation. Some are more rapid than others. And if we look at the evidence over the last 100 years, it's quite clear from the records we have from paleoclimate records and direct measurements that there's a slowdown occurring of the order of 10% maybe so far, 15%. And that number's even discussed and debated. Some people might say even higher. Some people will say less. But there's definitely not an increase. And all the evidence we have is that there is a slowdown underway, and that's in keeping with the projections. And it will only get worse as we change our climate system.
Yeah, it's not good. And fact is, we need to make changes immediately. I've heard some people say that at the rate it's going, it could collapse by 2030, which is ridiculous because that's like 6 years away. Or at least it just sounds ridiculous in my head, but is a potential thing. Doesn't even sound real. Ah, very frustrating. Are we talking about capitalism, humanity, or the earth? Or all three? All three, all the time. Okay. What else do I have here? Okay, yeah. All right, look, this is from 5 hours ago, where climate activists have filed a criminal complaint against Total Energies in Paris.
I'm joined now by Yuka Roya from the Business Desk. Hi there, Yuka.
Hi, Tom.
Total Energy is launching a new oil project in Africa, and at the same time, fresh legal challenges about the company's role in climate change.
A group of NGOs filed a criminal complaint in Paris today, asking a court to open a trial against Total's top management and its shareholders for involuntary manslaughter. The filing comes just as the company announced a new multi-billion-euro project to develop 2 oil fields off the coast of Angola. Verica Bahel reports.
These are the activists and NGOs launching a criminal case against French oil giant Total Energy, accusing them of biodiversity destruction, deliberately endangering the lives of others, and involuntary manslaughter. The plaintiffs are led by 3 NGOs and 8 survivors and victims of increasingly frequent climate disasters around the world.
Perdu ma mère dans une catastrophe. Les éboulements
There were landslides both down the valley and up, so the village could no longer be reached by motorized vehicles. When we arrived on her land, the house and the river followed past the house. Wait, what? That doesn't make sense.
To go back home
I read that
because
wrong.
a cyclone
Because
was
a cyclone
coming.
was coming.
People were lost
What about
their
people who
loved
have
ones.
lost their loved ones? The beautiful land of... Wait, she's speaking English. Why am I reading this?
Dead bodies.
God damn it.
Everything was destroyed beyond repair.
The case targets Total Energy's board of directors, its CEO Patrick Pouyanné, and major shareholders.
Anyway, climate activists are suing oil and gas giant from Paris, Total Energies, both the shareholders and the CEO and board of directors, for, I believe, the the crime of involuntary manslaughter, which would, I believe, bring pretty hefty jail time in Paris. Whether that will work, to be determined. I'd love to see it work. Gotta be real, really rooting for them. Jesus, are we 2 hours in already? How's that possible? Okay, let's just quickly look at this from 9 hours ago. In South Africa.
South Africa is meant to be a poster child for the global energy transition. But on Tuesday, the head of state utility Eskom said talks were being held with groups funding the country's efforts to decarbonize over delays to the closure of some coal-fired power plants. At UN climate talks in 2021, the likes of the US, the UK and the EU pledged a total of $8.5 billion to help Africa's most industrialized economy cut emissions and move away from coal. But in the struggling South African economy, which relies on aging coal-fired plants for the majority of its electricity needs, keeping the lights on has been a tough task. Eskom has said it intends to delay the shutdown of 3 power plants until March 2030.
It's disappointing. It was very disappointing. However, South Africa is certainly not the biggest user of coal in the world. I'm not saying they should continue. It's bad and it's troubling. But the fact is, the United States needs to stop doing it. Canada, China, Russia, and other European countries, but specifically America is one of the biggest, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, I have to look this one up again because I think could be wrong. Might be China. I think it's per population or something like that. Okay, no, China's the highest technically on coal, but okay, let's see here. Oh, okay, cool. Either way, it's just concerning that people keep going backwards on their commitments they've made publicly, whatever else it might be, to cut back, and then just continuing the same sort of cycle. Pushing things back when we are in a serious problem right now. Well, I hope everybody's enjoying the stream so far. If you haven't already, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Just gonna take a quick break now, as we've been going for 2 whole hours without a single second of stoppage. Alright, grab yourself a drink, take a little dip in the pool, grab yourself a snack, and if you have some time in between all that, you could also become a Galactic patron. Just an idea, throwing it out there. Really helps out.
Do you know what we're here for? Don't even play. Don't even play. Girl, baby girl.
What now?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
A fucking bitch.
I mean, this woman is dangerous, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that new? You haven't seen it yet? Oh my god, Gabby hasn't been here for any of them? Oh no. Oh no, you're gonna be upset. You know what? We'll talk later. But basically, this is not a cathedral or a theater, which people have suggested. For those of you who haven't been here for the secret, impromptu, Galactic UN Council exploratory committees on support characters, this is the Galactic UN. Here, I'll even talk it up just a little bit more. Hold on. Hold on, here. Yeah. So, welcome to the Galactic UN, where here we make important space decisions. In fact, we're not... Hold on, I need to fix this. Okay, so, hold on. We're transporting the UN to its normal location. There we go. So yeah, as you can see, we have fully functioning monitors here for our viewing enjoyment. Unfortunately, since some of you haven't been here for the streams due to unforeseen circumstances, perhaps we will have a third and final, very final, exploratory committee on support characters. Currently, the list is something like 50, as some people decided to make more suggestions today after I had technically closed the exploratory committee. However, this is a space decree. Space decree. We will have one more, just not now. Later. Alright, back to other things. Whoops. There we go. Wait, now this... What? Why am I in space still? This is wild. Okay. Okay, turning off the music, moving on to global news. What kind of dice will I have to use? Well, there's going to be a limit. So first off, we haven't even voted. We have not even voted yet. Okay, that's number one. Okay, we haven't voted. There will be multiple rounds of voting, both probably on stream and in Discord. We will see exact. I still haven't figured out the exact logistics of it, but I will be making a bracketing system with all of them, and there will be perhaps categories. There's been a number of suggestions as to how we go about the voting, and they'll be whittled down to the cream of the crop. And so I think we will probably wind up with maybe 10 total, maybe 12. You know, fingers crossed. I'm gonna have to make cutouts of all of these, so just remember that. Well, not all of them. They will only the final selectees will be cutouts. The motion to table, yes. Okay. Now let's quickly talk about both French and German politics. Real quick with this French, this France 24 English video from 4 hours ago. A step too far right? France's RN splits with AFD over SS comments. And it's kind of annoying. It's also, I think they were doing it to be funny, but just to translate that for you, France's national right, I think that's what it's called, national rally, excuse me, France's national rally splits with AFD, which, no, I can't even remember all of them now. No, god damn it. Alternative for Germany, is, I don't know how, it must be something in German, but AFD stands for the quote-unquote Alternative for Germany, which is a far-right nationalist party in Germany who made SS comments, meaning Nazi comments. Which, you know, France has some feelings about from like 80 years ago.
The French far right has split with the German AFD in a row over the SS. Max Krah said not all the Nazi SS were criminals, a remark that borders on Holocaust denial, which of course is an offence under French law. It's an embarrassment for Jordan Bardella, head of the list for the European elections for the French National Rally, who's usually side by side with Max Krah in Brussels. Bardella says he'll no longer sit in the EU Parliament if he's re-elected in June, alongside the leader of the AFD. Let's bring in Pierre Benezet to get the real take on what is actually going on here. Pierre, thanks for being with us. Because no matter what Bardella might say, the fact he's had to make this statement suggests that he's very embarrassed by all of this.
Quite, and it's been quite an ongoing dispute between the two.
Now, just to point out, both of these, both the AFD and the NR, or the RN, I can't remember what they said, but they're both just very, very far right nationalist parties, right? They got along because they're both in the EU, and they hate the EU. So, you know, unfortunately, not unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, they have decided to start fighting amongst each other, which I find fascinating.
Other parties in the European Parliament ever since it was revealed in January that the Alternative für Deutschland had a congress where they discussed mass repatriation of immigrants to their native countries, and also the concept of remigration. Remigration is, according to the AfD, Alternative für Deutschland, a concept where those migrants who have been living in Germany for a long time but have not assimilated enough are to be repatriated to their countries as well, along with those who do not hold the proper documentation. And this scheme is not supported by the Rassemblement National in France. It was made very clear by Marine Le Pen in January.
Yeah, Marine Le Pen is the worst. All the people being discussed in this situation are the worst. I just figured we would take a moment to revel in far right infighting for just a moment. Like, whatever that was, 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes. Okay, let's move along. Exactly my thoughts. As long as they are fighting each other, it's better for everyone else. It's like a distraction, you know? It's like, look over here, they're not being right-wing enough for you. Oh God. Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, it's. I mean, if you're not aware, which I would find shocking, but perhaps you aren't. In World War II, France was in fact occupied by Nazi Germany, and so they are pretty. They have very strong feelings about it. Even the most right-wing people are like very anti-Nazi because of that, which I also find fascinating. As you would think that they would also, but no. France first, which I guess kind of checks out now that I'm thinking about it. Oh God. Anyway, hopefully they'll just stop attacking. I don't know, just everybody they've been attacking in Europe. I'm trying to think, like immigrants and LGBT people, and I don't know, all sorts of people. Just ethnic minorities. Alright, I'm not going to keep listing people that are being oppressed by the right wing in Europe. Okay, move on, StreamLord. To... Oh, okay, we are at this point already? Oh, no. No, right, no. Right. Okay, let's talk about Iran, where, if you're not aware, the president recently died in a helicopter crash along with the foreign minister and multiple other Iranian officials. This one's from BBC News from a day ago. Iran's President Raisi's death sees country declare 5 days of mourning. The way that's worded is fucking horseshit.
You're live with BBC News now. Iran has declared 5 days of mourning following the death of the country's president, Ibrahim Raisi, in a helicopter crash. President Raisi died along with the Iranian foreign minister when their helicopter came down near the border with Azerbaijan on Sunday. Their bodies have now been recovered from the crash site. It's thought another 7 people were on board the helicopter when it came down in thick fog and rain. The search in a mountainous area in northwestern Iran was hampered by that bad weather. Well, let's talk to the Iran expert, Dr. Hamid Reza Azizi, who joins us live on the programme. Doctor, welcome to BBC News. Just how significant do you think the events of the last 24 hours are?
Of course, it was significant in the sense that, the issue of succession to the next supreme leader looming. So all these have, I think, put the political system in a very delicate situation. Of course, Raisi himself was not the strongest president of the Islamic Republic. He actually had no basically strategic vision of himself and was a loyalist. But exactly this point, Raisi being a loyalist had made him a kind of favorite candidate for running the presidency until the succession issue matters. and then probably also to be one of the candidates. But now, in all those matters, there's going to be a period of ambiguity, I think.
Would you expect any sort of significant change, or would you expect basically continuity? Do you expect anything to fundamentally change domestically or with foreign policy?
What is important here to take into consideration is that the president, according to Constitution, is not the first official in the power hierarchy. It's the supreme leader, and the strategic directions of the country are set also by the supreme leader. When it comes to foreign policy, the role of the IRGC, and this has to do with the informal procedure.
Okay. Just wanted to watch that. Just remind everybody that while his title is president and he's supposedly elected, you know, there is still the supreme leader who is, yeah, definitely not elected. So yeah, they did hold 5 days, I think he said, of mourning for him in the country. So I figured we'd at least look at that, and then look at how people outside of Iran may have reacted.
The funeral procession for Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and members of his entourage began today in the northwestern city of Tabriz. Thousands of Iranians walked through the streets waving flags and portraits of the late president. Tabriz is where Raisi was headed when his helicopter crashed on Sunday. Iranian officials and dignitaries delivered speeches, played music, and prayed for the fallen president. The crowd then parted to make way for a white truck carrying the coffins of Raisi and his foreign minister, along with 7 others who perished. On Monday, Iran's supreme leader declared the nation will observe.
So yeah, you can see the massive throngs of people came out for his funeral to pay respect. So clearly he was, at least to some degree, mourned by people, seemingly in a huge demonstration here in the streets. However, outside of Iran, in Europe, there were a number of Iranian expats who were demonstrating in the exact opposite sort of way. Members of the National Council of Resistance of Iran came out to celebrate the death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash.
Very happy
the house music
because
is
we want
hilarious.
to bring freedom and democracy for Iran. We have so many Iranian units, movement unit and resistance unit inside of Iran. They are very, very happy today. They celebrate also inside of Iran because he killed all of our people.
So I think for an outsider, it's a bit strange or weird that people are also celebrating the death of Raisi. It's because he's the embodiment of the massacre of Iran. Raisi was instrumental in the massacre of 30,000 political prisoners in Iran in 1988. 90% of whom were from the main Iranian opposition party. We simply cannot find a single family in Iran that hasn't been affected, harmed, or attacked by him in some way. That's why people, the relatives of victims, are celebrating throughout Iran. So yeah, I was going to bring that up, but he got to it first. He has been accused by a huge number of people that were expelled from the country that it was essentially orchestrated by him, and that many of their family members were killed for just opposing politically the regime, which I would point out is incredibly authoritarian. Just horrific. 30,000 people, right? Killed. Wild. Where else do we know a number? Where can I think of a number that big? Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent at this juncture.
All right. Let's quickly look at this. I was considering doing this at the beginning of the stream, but it happened outside of the United States. However, this is actually going to be some continuing coverage, if you will, of Boeing. Now, I'm not saying that this incident was necessarily the fault of Boeing. However, earlier today, about 12 hours ago, a Singapore Airlines flight had a problem due to supposedly turbulence, but people died, or at least one person died on this flight, and multiple people were injured, forcing them to land. Footage from inside the plane shows overhead panels. Dude, you could see though back there they were carrying people out on stretchers. Oh my god. You can see the dents in the fucking ceiling and the fucking blood. That is... that's wild. That's wild. Jesus. Unconfirmed reports suggested that the flight... Wait, read that? Hold on. I didn't read that before. There we go. Unconfirmed reports suggest the flight traveling from London to Singapore dropped nearly 1,800 meters, or 6,000 feet, when it flew into the rough air after traversing the Andaman Sea. Passengers who were not wearing a seatbelt were thrust into the cabin. The aircraft made an emergency landing in Bangkok, where emergency services rushed to tend passengers. Okay, now, that was just to get us warmed up on this whole situation, just to look at kind of the situation after the fact, once it landed on the ground. But let's look at this report from BBC.
A 73-year-old British man has died and 7 people were critically injured when a flight from London to Singapore hit severe turbulence. Passengers shot this video inside the plane. It shows the debris and open overhead lockers, as well as injured passengers being stretchered off the plane while ambulances waited on the tarmac. One of the Singapore Airlines crew told a passenger it was the worst turbulence she'd experienced in her 30-year career. Well, this was the scene on the tarmac with emergency services surrounding the plane. The Singapore-bound aircraft was diverted to Bangkok and landed at around 3:45 in the afternoon local time. It was carrying 211 passengers and 18 crew. Well, in a moment, we'll speak live with our correspondent who's at Changi Airport in Singapore. But first, here's our Southeast Asia correspondent, Jonathan Head, with the...
Yes, you do have 30 likes. I just needed to find a good spot to actually pause it there, so I didn't just randomly do that, but really great job. Unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wait on it because somehow my stream software is already freezing up on me over here. However, just know that you got a 2, which I believe is a Cisco. I can't even look at it right now, but pretty sure.
Very latest.
Shaken by their terrifying ordeal, the passengers were met by several ambulances as they landed in Bangkok. They'd been eating their breakfast when the Boeing airliner plunged without warning. Jerry was travelling with 6 other family members to a wedding in Australia.
Bit of turbulence, and suddenly the plane plunged. I don't know how far, but it was, they said 6,000 feet. It didn't seem like 6,000 feet, but it was a long way and so sudden, there was no warning at all. And I ended up hitting my head on the ceiling, my wife did. Some poor people who were walking around ended up doing somersaults. It was instantaneous. It really was.
Wild. And it was a Boeing aircraft. Now, I'm not saying that that was the cause of it. They did say there was extreme turbulence that was unexpected, and we've been having fucking crazy weather all around the world. So it's not completely out of the possibilities that somehow, a weather pattern appeared unexpectedly and they flew through it. May not have been a technical error, plane-wise, but it just felt like something for us to look at, considering just how many Boeing planes we've been seeing having problems lately. Alright, now staying in Asia, but going south. Actually, I should have done it this way. Whatever, I'll skip that one. I have to do it later. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about New Caledonia, which we've been talking about for, I think, at least a full week now, where unrest has been happening there. People are outraged by the government of France, who is bringing back essentially colonial policies to a country they were supposed to be supposedly giving their independence to over time. In a very backwards move, they decided to grant all French citizens, or all French citizens that have been living there for, I think, is it 5 years? Something like that. The right to vote, thereby minimizing the vote of the local Kanak people. And in the wake of all of this happening, New Zealand and Australia have begun evacuating its citizens from New Caledonia. 10 years, thank you. 10 years. It's better. Yep. Thank you for telling me. I'm just going to skip to the next one, and then we're going to actually talk about this a little bit more.
Australia and New Zealand sent planes to New Caledonia on Tuesday to evacuate nationals after a week of deadly riots. The riot was sparked by electoral changes from the French government. France's High Commission in New Caledonia announced on Tuesday that the airport remains closed for commercial flights, and the military will protect public buildings. Officials say thousands are stranded due to cancelled flights, following last week's unrest there. Streets in New Caledonia's capital, Noumea, are lined with charred vehicles and debris, with at least 6 people killed. Eyewitness videos showed burnt-out cars next to gutted car showrooms. Now the roads are being cleared with bulldozers removing burnt-out cars and rubble. The protests erupted last week among the indigenous Kanak people over a French amendment changing election.
Yeah, okay. Now, just because we've been talking about it so much, it felt right for us, at least in my thinking, to watch this video. This is from TLDR News EU from 4 days ago. Has Macron triggered a civil war in New Caledonia?
This video was brought to you by Brilliant. On Wednesday evening, French President Emmanuel Macron declared a state of emergency in the French overseas territory of New Caledonia, following announcements of a constitutional change that could...
Hold on, I forgot. I need to get this one set up. We already did read. We already did read a little bit. Play.
Having apparently won the independence argument, Paris then argued that the current policy of only allowing Kanaks to vote in local elections, as dictated by the Noumea Accords, is undemocratic. So, after 25 years, Macron is now planning to expand the electoral list, which will allow French Europeans who've lived on the island for more than 10 years to vote in the local elections. Now, of course, this hasn't gone down well with the Kanak population, who fear that this change will dilute their political influence yet further. So, ever since the constitutional changes were announced last month, there have been regular protests. But things took a deadly turn this week, with an escalation of violence matching the intensity last seen in the 80s. According to the French commissioner in New Caledonia, 54 police officers and gendarmes were injured in overnight riots. More than 120 people were arrested, 300 injured, and at least 3 young Kanaks and 1 gendarme were killed. Authorities then put a curfew in place on Tuesday, closing the international airport, banning public gatherings, banning TikTok, shutting diplomatic premises, and even declaring a state of emergency
People really hate
the following
TikTok,
day.
don't they?
Unsurprisingly then, ethnic tensions are now at a dangerous high, with Kanaks clamoring for greater independence and local anti-independence politicians claiming that a race war is being...
Oh, Geo Dragon is your wife. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that, and for bringing her into this here space family.
Perpetrated against the European population by the Kanaks. And all of this begs the question, how will this all end? Well, the High Commissioner and a former leading anti-independence minister have both said that the situation is entering a dangerous spiral, which could end in civil war, which is especially worrying given that both sides are heavily armed. Nonetheless, there is sign for cautious optimism. Leaders of the independence group have condemned the violence, and Macron has invited both camps to negotiations in Paris, offering to abandon the electoral changes if the two sides agree to a new criteria for citizenship.
So yeah, I feel like we did cover a lot of this so far, but I think it's probably best to just make sure we drive it all home, honestly, because I feel like it's completely out of the discussion of most American media, whether it's America or Canada. Most of the people I've been seeing cover this are from overseas. And you could be, the question is a good one. Is it starting a civil war or not? Because fact is there was fighting in 1988, which you could certainly categorize as being a civil war, which I don't think anybody wants to see. There's already plenty of violence in the world right now. We don't need more of that. Okay. All right, now let's talk a little bit about this ICC arrest warrant that's being sought by its main prosecutor, Karim Khan. First, though, let's look at Rishi Sunak's response. Now, we already talked about this a little bit yesterday. However, there's been a number of developments on that, and I think we should see these, at least parts of all of these. First, let's hear Rishi Sunak. Wait, no, that's the wrong video. Why did I just click that? No. Come on.
Well, this is a deeply unhelpful development. Of course, it's still subject to final decision, but it remains deeply unhelpful nonetheless. There is no moral equivalence between a democratic state exercising its lawful right to self-defense and the...
Deeply unhelpful. How? How is it deeply unhelpful? Because it's fact. It's like, it's a legitimate, sensible arrest warrant being sought. That's unhelpful about, or is it just... It's unhelpful because people have been accusing you of having funded it. Is that the thing that's bothersome? Is that why it's unhelpful?
Equivalence between a democratic state exercising its lawful right to self-defense and the terrorist group Hamas. And it's wrong to conflate and as I said, equivocate between those two different entities. And what I'm very clear is that this will make absolutely no difference in getting a pause in the fighting, getting aid into the region, or indeed...
It's unhelpful because Hamas. Okay, everyone, that's why. And it won't fix anything because Hamas. And October 7th, because Hamas. And also, do you condemn Hamas? Okay, now let's listen to another person who likes to say stupid things in front of microphones. This is from a day ago where Biden denounced the ICC arrest warrant request, saying that, quote-unquote, Israel's actions in Gaza are not genocide. Huh. Weird.
I don't want reality.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders.
Don't be creepy.
Whatever these warrants may imply, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. And it's clear Israel wants to do all it can to ensure civilian protection. But let me be clear. Contrary to allegations against Israel made by the International Court of Justice, what's happening is not genocide. We reject that. In America, we respect and protect fundamental rights of free speech to protest peacefully. That's America. There's no place in any campus in America, any place in America for anti...
Wow. Just a bunch of bold-faced lies. Unbelievable. But the first part is just... like to suggest that it's not genocide, and therefore The fact is that the ICC report didn't say genocide. So, like we went over the details of the ICC report yesterday to not too much length, but we at least covered what they were. None of it did not say genocide one time, right? So he made up a straw man and then gaslit us with it. Just wild. So those are two of the Western reactions to the ICC seeking arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. Now let's hear directly from the fascist mouth.
After more than 7 months of Israeli bombardment.
Oh wait, is this the wrong one? Hold on, wait a second. Whoopsies. Wait, did this get taken down? Oh, never mind. Never mind. I forgot. First they try and warm us up with some other stuff. Let's just start here.
International bodies like the ICC arose in the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people. They were set up to prevent such horrors, to prevent future genocides.
What?
Yet now, the International Court is trying to put Israel in the dock.
President Biden, although he's increasingly critical of Israel's assault on Gaza, agreed with Netanyahu.
Dude is just floundering for anything at this point. Good God. Okay. All right, now let's hear from him one more time. Unfortunately, this is actually going to probably be one of the more frustrating parts of this stream, so please do prepare yourselves for this, because I don't know, like not very long before I started the stream today, Jake Tapper had Benjamin Netanyahu on CNN for a full interview of 15 minutes long. Okay? And you'll see that he misses practically every opportunity to question all of the bullshit and falsehoods that he says. It is fascinating to me that I mean, let's just start from the beginning.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, thank you so much for joining us. A central part of the ICC's charges against you and Gallant is, quote, starvation of civilians as a method of warfare. Now, I know that Israel repeatedly claims that enough aid is getting in and there is not purposeful starvation, and those claiming otherwise are misinformed, are lying. Is Israel going to send a delegation to The Hague to present any evidence to defend itself?
I think these charges are exactly as President Biden called them. They're outrageous. They're beyond outrageous. This is a rogue prosecutor that has put false charges and created false symmetries that are both dangerous and false. And the first false symmetry is he equates the democratically elected leaders of Israel with the terrorist tyrants of Hamas. That's like saying that, well, I'm issuing arrest warrants for FDR and Churchill, but also for Hitler. Or I'm issuing arrest warrants for George.
Wow. We heard him say this in an interview yesterday, too. And he continues to essentially say he's not the Hitler in this situation. It's Hamas.
Aren't I a good guy?
Bush, George W. Bush, but also for bin Laden. That's absurd. Secondly, the charges are completely false. Let's take this charge of starvation. We've put in 500,000 tons of trucks of food and medicine for this population. We've taken 20,000 trucks. We've paved roads to put those trucks in. We've opened border crossings that Hamas closed down. I've had airdrops that are facilitated, sea route supplies. I mean, the whole thing is absurd. You should know this. I mean,
At this point, Jake Tapper has said absolutely nothing. It's shocking that he doesn't even get close to, like, pushing back on any of this fucking bullshit that is coming out of Benjamin Netanyahu's mouth right now. He's just staring. He's trying to look concerned. He just seems to be looking smarmy and overpaid right now from where I'm sitting.
Food in Gaza has dropped by 80%. The markets don't lie. They talk about 23, I think, or 30 cases of malnutrition in a population of 2 million. Okay, the United States in 2022 had 20,000 deaths of malnutrition. That's 3 times more than in Gaza. This is completely false. It's the kind of slander that has been leveled at the Jewish people for ages, and it's renewed now against the Jewish state. It was false then, it's false now.
300 million people in the United States versus 2 million people in all, not all of Palestine, but like pretty much all of Gaza, right? And he's gonna try and compare the two, just apple to apple. It's an interesting strategy.
Oh, it never occurred to me.
This prosecutor, this rogue prosecutor, didn't even bother to come here. He said he'd come here to check the facts. He didn't check the facts. He just went out and demonized the Jewish state, and he's taking the ICC down.
Now this, I've been waiting for him to say this whole time, because this is maybe the most frustrating and deeply, deeply wrong and misleading things that Jake Tapper doesn't even try to push back on. Because at some point he does push back on his claims about aid, just a tiny, tiny bit. You'll see. But this statement that somehow the ICC prosecutor said he'd come down and check things out, and that he didn't, right? Somehow, as if Israel is letting anybody in to do investigations in Gaza, right? It's not happening. It's literally that everyone's barred from entering Gaza by military force. And at no point does he push back. I listened to this whole fucking pathetic interview. You'll see. He's
of the General
sits here and
Assembly
listens to it the whole
passes
time.
Infinite resolutions, flat earth resolutions against Israel, or the Human Rights Council that used to have a reputation that is completely blown because half their resolutions are against Israel, not against Iran, not against North Korea, not against Syria. It's the same thing. It's outrageous. And false. And dangerous because it endangers every democracy.
We should note, though, it's not just the ICC expressing concerns about the lack of humanitarian aid getting into Gaza. President Biden and his administration and their officials, not to mention European allies of Israel and their officials, they've all been making this case for months that Israel is not letting enough aid in. So when President Biden expresses concern about you not letting enough aid in, is he wrong?
So he completely goes past the claim that he makes about ICC. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't push back on this as well, but this is the only... I think the point is that CNN here is essentially framing this whole thing in the exact same way that, of course, the Biden administration is framing it. Unwilling to inspect the more difficult things like international law, which the United States is also ignoring in this situation.
Well, no, we had the same concerns. We were trying to get the aid in. We got the aid in, and Hamas was looting the aid. That's what was happening. They were taking it for themselves or extorting the population. We were letting the aid in from the start. And look, this was my directive from day one, The day one thing was we have to provide, we comport with international law. We comport with the rules of war. We have to get those trucks in. We're getting hundreds of trucks every day in. And that's been an aspect of our conduct of war, because we
look at Jake Tapper just continue to smile smarmily.
No country, no army has done in history. It's not me saying that. It's General Petraeus saying that. The head of the urban warfare at West Point, Colonel John Spencer, says it. Israel's gone out of its way, both in humanitarian aid and getting civilians out of harm's way with millions of text messages, millions.
Out of its way. That's.
Phone calls and leaflets that we've been dropping, giving up the element of surprise. Israel is given here a bum rap. It's, I think it's dangerous, because basically it's the first democracy that is being taken to the dock. It is doing exactly what democracy should be doing in an exemplary way. I think it will endanger all other democracies. Israel may be first. You're next. Britain is next. Others are next too. And the second thing that is dangerous about this, Jake, is I think this fans the fires of anti-Semitism that are raging on American campuses and throughout Western California. They're pouring gas. He just...
Oh my God. An arrest warrant for him personally is going to start anti-Semitism on campuses? The only real anti-Semitism we've seen on campuses has come from counter-protesters. We actually looked at a video from CNN, which they refused to post on YouTube. They actually found real anti-Semitic people. And they found that the UCLA counter-protesters who violently attacked the students on campus were in fact mostly middle-aged men that were not students or affiliated with the college who posted anti-Semitic things on the regs, who just like attacking woke leftists. And a bunch of them happen to be in the crossover section in the Venn diagram between anti-Semitic people and MAGA folk. A lot of them actually attended MAGA rallies, as it turns out. Okay. This is wild, and you know what? I honestly don't think I can continue watching this. If you want to watch it, I'd say do it, right? But the fact is the rest of this, we're talking about another 10 minutes of Jake Tapper looking exactly like this. We could just cut, we could basically just freeze frame half of this, and this video would look basically the same, right? For the next 10 minutes, while he lets Benjamin Netanyahu kind of drone on about how Israel's oppressed and, you know.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
So yeah, if you want to torture yourself for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you go right ahead. You know, better than me. I had to watch it at double speed, and I'm not going to put you through the rest of it, honestly. It's just not worth our times. Okay, now let's discuss this a little bit more with some very intelligent people. Yesterday we looked at a small snippet of this video, but today I figured we would, in fact, watch a bit more of it. This is from Zateo, where Mehdi Hassan and Owen Jones had Ilan Pape and Diana Boutou on to discuss the ICC Israel arrest warrants being sought.
Longer historical process that probably can lead to the decolonization of Palestine, to its liberation, and so on. So I would kind of distinct between the possibility of landmark moments to impact, to save.
Just realized it's on 1.5 still. That was pissing me off. Hey, what the fuck? Thank you. That's better.
people's life on the ground, and the kind of the wider historical process that I think is going in, from my point of view at least, in the right direction. It's going in the right direction. And that's a very important landmark in that trajectory. But I think I'm always conscious of going back to a Jenin refugee camp, telling them about the great success of the BDS, and they would say, well, what you say is not going to change tomorrow and not the day after tomorrow.
Well, just on that, I mean, I understand these caveats, and they're very, very important. I'm the sort of person who certainly gets carried away with moments like this. It's easy to look at, you know, moments of potential optimism, but just to put a bit more optimism it's very interesting. There's an accompanying panel of experts in international, all the report of the panels and experts, which include Amal Clooney, who's come under a lot of criticism over the last few months for her silence, when it turns out the reason for her silence was she was involved in this investigation. But it does say the panel notes the prosecutor's statement that other alleged crime, including in connection with a large-scale bombing campaign in Gaza, are actively being investigated. That is, there is still possibility for extra charges to be added, not least because they've been denied access to Gaza. But what I'm interested in, just in terms of practical impact. So if you take here in Britain, for example, the legal advice given to the government is, according to Alicia Kearns, a Conservative MP, the head of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, is that the government has been told that Israel is in violation of international law. That, in theory, prevents Britain selling weapons or sharing intelligence with Israel. That's been overridden. The point I would make is, or the question is this the sort of impact it could have that now raises legal jeopardy for anyone arming Israel, that in the United States in particular, where Joe Biden now is only belatedly talking about withholding some weapons if Rafah is attacked. But could that mean now this case makes it much, much easier to argue for what you said, the practical impact of boycott, divestment and sanctions because of this moment, stopping weapons, putting sanctions on Israel, the wind is in the sails? Either of you, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Owen, what I think. I think that the problem is that the British Prime Minister, the British Secretary, the Foreign Secretary, the German government, the French government, the Italian government share the Israeli reaction that this is not a fair ruling. And that's a problem. Of course, it makes it more difficult for them to reject it, and they are part of systems that supposedly respect the ruling of law. But we remember even on much minor cases where the European Court for Human Rights interfered with some of the British decision in the realm of education, realm of social welfare. Eventually, the cynical politicians found a way out of it. That's why I'm saying that I think that this is really a moment, just another layer of the kind of struggle we have as a human society between the agenda of cynical politicians and their interests and the kind of organization that they themselves helped to create, allegedly to find out whether they are abiding by either domestic rules or domestic laws or international law, and yet...
Absolutely. Talk about my helmet? That can't possibly be the first time you noticed me talking. Is it? Have you been watching this without that this whole time? Not looking at me? God. Throwing me off. Alright, I'm gonna try and focus in here. Alright, let's go to this. This is from 8 hours ago. During a Senate hearing, Anthony Blinken was repeatedly interrupted by protesters. And I believe this particular hearing, they were detailing their budget request, or like an amendment to a budget. It's complicated. It's convoluted. Whatever. Not the important part. Well, it kind of is, actually. Hold on.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Graham, Vice Chair Collins, Chair Murray, very good to be with all of you today on this committee. I thank you. I thank you for the opportunity to testify before you. And
you can see behind him, there's like at least a half dozen people with their hands painted red, just like silently holding their hands up. And then one person starts shouting. Judge gets all mad.
I recognize people feel passionately.
The
we must have order in this room. We are going to proceed with this hearing. Mr. Secretary, you may resume.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to thank you also for your partnership in working together to advance American leadership in the world, leadership that's so essential for delivering on the priorities that matter to our people at home. I think the need for our global leadership and cooperation with allies and partners.
Witness will suspend until the room is cleared of protesters. That's two. Mr. Secretary, you may proceed.
Chairman, thank you. So I was saying the need for our leadership and cooperation with allies and partners has never been greater. The People's Republic of China is pursuing military, economic, and geopolitical preeminence, challenging our vision for a free, open, secure, and prosperous international order. Russia is committing aggression not only against Ukraine, but against the principles at the heart of the UN Charter: independence, territorial integrity, sovereignty, that are the building blocks for global peace and security. In the Middle East, we're standing with Israel in its efforts to ensure that what happened on October 7th never happens again, as we do everything we can to bring to an end the terrible human suffering in Gaza and prevent the conflict from spreading. U.S. leadership is needed to address.
That's enough Blinken from Blinken. But for 7 minutes, people continue doing that exact thing, saying to one degree or another, stop funding the genocide in Gaza, free Palestine, and so on and so forth. And it was beautiful. All right. Now let's talk about something that happened earlier today, which got sort of mixed reception, I guess you might say. But Israeli officials seized Associated Press cameras and broadcasting kit. We have footage of that. Two Israeli officials have seized camera kits from the Associated Press offices in southern Israel, alleging AP was violating the country's new foreign broadcaster law. Israel has used the law to close Al Jazeera offices and ban its content. It accuses AP of violating the law by providing content to Al Jazeera. AP footage is used by thousands of news outlets worldwide, including Al Jazeera and the Galactic News Network. This camera that was broadcasting a general view of northern Gaza has taken to the office, and the microphone was disconnected from it.
משמש לקליטת הבומים של הפצצות על מנת שזה יהיה מחובר ישירות למצלמה. ניסי?
אוקיי, אנחנו נמצאים כרגע מול המסך של אל-ג'זירה.
Israeli officials identified the AP camera.
21.
Wait, hold on, sorry. Israeli officials identified the AP camera Al Jazeera was using by comparing the live feeds.
מול המסך של אל-ג'זירה. 12:41, 21 למאי 2024.
AP has denounced the move, saying the shutdown was not based on the content of the feed.
נמצא מר יצחק חג'בי על גג ליד מצלמה.
AP complies with Israel's military censorship rules.
Illegal.
Which prohibit broadcasts of details. Wait, sorry, I was looking down. Which prohibits broadcasts of details such as troop movements that could endanger soldiers. I don't think it's that hard to find Israeli soldiers in Gaza. All the buildings are flattened, and it's a tiny strip of land. Forbesilla said something about Soul Life. Huh. I was unaware of any of that. Alright, let's look at what the White House, by the way of Karine Jean-Pierre, had to say about Israel seizing the AP's broadcasting equipment.
Want to be really, really mindful. We're looking into it, and obviously this is concerning, and so we want to look into it. But we've always been clear the importance.
She wants to be mindful
Of the work that you all do.
She wants to be mindful. What is this? A meditation retreat? Mindfulness? What are you talking about? How's that? What do you need to be mindful about? They just seized American news outlets, cameras, and just want to be meditative about it. Okay.
And the work that journalists do, and again, how it is the pillar of our democracy. It is certainly part of our freedom. And you hear us say this all the time. You guys are the fourth estate. You guys hold us accountable, and make sure that the facts are out there, and that is essential.
Did she just say that Israel tells the United States to hold them accountable? Hold on. What did she just say?
Part of our freedom, and you hear us say this all the time. You guys are the fourth estate. You guys hold us accountable. And again, the importance of the work that you all do, and the work that journalists do, and again,
she's
how
talking
it is
about
the pillar of our
journal.
democracy.
Right, she's talking about journalism
Certainly
in
part
general.
of our freedom.
I was so confused for a
and
second.
You hear us say this all the time. You guys are the fourth estate. You guys hold.
Right. Yeah, she loves journalism. She's a big fan. Karine Jean-Pierre loves it when people keep her accountable. It's her favorite thing. Whenever she goes to press conferences, she says, I sure hope journalists keep me accountable today, otherwise America's fucked. Actually. I know that's what I think about her. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at this. Most of the time you either see the video or the desk. Huh. That's fair. I mean, I'm always in the corner talking, but not at my desk necessarily. I guess I could also sit in front of the desk, but I'm always moving back and forth, you know? It's a lot of stuff for us to look at. Okay, we could go to this desk. This is the vintage, or this is a secret desk, which nobody sees ever. This desk right here. Hey. Alright, let's look at what the UN spokesperson said regarding the seizure of AP's cameras.
Today, the Israeli authorities confiscated the television equipment from the Associated Press, a camera that was being used, that was in Israel to show a live feed of this Gaza skyline. Does the Secretary General have any reaction to that?
I saw the reports in the Israeli press this morning. Frankly, it's quite shocking. I think journalists need to be able to do their work freely. The Associated Press of all news organizations should be allowed to do its work freely and free of any harassment.
Okay. Where are we now? Pause. Okay, Let's look at this next one. This is global news showing Gazans who are seeking aid at the U.S. pier that has just been built and leaving empty-handed. We are displaced. Our house was destroyed. It was in the west. My house was on the east side of Al Zahra. It was destroyed. I only built it. Oh my god, there's so much. How am I supposed to read all this that quickly? Oh my god, it's moving so fucking fast. My life ended. My life was ruined. We were displaced to Rafah. We were displaced to Al Burej. We were, wait. We were displaced to Nusrat, and we are now displaced to Nusrat. We come here with the hope that the pier you'll get the American aid. We have waited from 1 o'clock until now. We are waiting for the American aid, but we did not get anything. Here's the boy. Since the pier was set up, we should get aid, and here we are. We have been destroyed. What should I tell you? We're not just asking for aid. Those aids are stained with blood. We want an end to the war from America itself. You feed me and then kill me, I even must die just to reach the aid. They've been the same issue. We are asking for the war to end and to return to our normal lives. We don't want aid from anyone. We can support ourselves, but we want the war to end so we can take care of our children. There is no education, no health care. He's 4 years old, and he can't even go to nursery. Where will he go and study, and to which school? I used to be a person. I was living. I had my home, my land, my car, my life. I had a life. We don't want anything from life other than to live. We just want life, nothing else. Just life. A rational life where I can get water from a tap and not a bucket, where I can find a bathroom, a normal bathroom, where I can find the normal necessities of life, the necessities of life. Nowadays, you suffer to get sugar and rice. There's no food. There's a problem. We are waiting for this aid. For hours, we have not received anything from it. It does not reach us. I ask America and the international community and all the Muslim world to just end this war. We do not want anything else but to end. It's unfortunate. Well, aid pier up and running supposedly. Doesn't seem like it's doing a whole lot. We already knew that though. I think we said that it would probably be able to do, what was it, 2 to 5% of what was necessary? At least according to what the estimates were originally. Maybe it'll be more, who knows. Speaking of aid, let's listen to this last one, where a Pentagon spokesperson was asked point blank, how many tons of aid are going into Gaza?
Idris from Reuters. Hey, Pat, a couple of questions. Firstly, just so it's clear, how many tons of aid have been delivered from the marshalling area to the UN, and how many tons remain in that sort of holding area off the pier? And secondly, in these discussions, have you talked about any potential sort of protection, whether it's armed guards or otherwise, for the convoys? Because presumably these new routes will be figured out given the desperation of people in Gaza and might be overwhelmed again. So has there been any other talks other than just changing the route?
Yeah, thanks, Idris. So, you know, as it relates to the aid deliveries by the NGOs that are supporting this, you know, I'd really have to refer you to USAID. I just don't have those statistics with me right now. As mentioned, we are tracking that movements have begun to put additional aid, put some of that aid into warehouses for onward distribution within Gaza. So again, I'd have to refer you to USAID on that front. And then similarly, as it relates to providing security for those NGOs, you know, that again is a topic that really comes down to the preferences of those NGOs. As I mentioned, there continue to be ongoing discussions with Israel, with the UN, and the groups involved in terms of how best to support them when it comes to ensuring that aid can be distributed. And as I mentioned, you know, one of those approaches is using alternative routes. But it's really best for them to talk about their preferences in terms of how they prefer to have security as they.
Such a weird way to put it all. It's like, yeah, now we know that the routes that we're currently using are not the ones we should be, but the administration has chosen not to put any pressure on Israel to actually open up the important ones, or to stop people from attacking convoys.
Conduct their routes. Again, you know, obviously U.S. military is not involved in that particular piece in terms of escorting. You know, we don't have any forces on the ground, but obviously something that we're continuing to monitor. But you know, again, I'd refer you to USAID on that one. Let me go to Jeff.
So yeah, the answer is not too sure how much aid is going. Can't really quantify it. It's too elusive of a number to figure it out. Press secretaries don't have souls. Yeah, the evidence for that seems to be pretty stacked in your favor. Oh boy, wait a second, was that our last official video for the day? Wild. Well, it's good to see you folks again. Wait a second. I think I'm in a time loop. That's not what I'm supposed to say. But this shebang isn't actually done. However, the serious portion of it is. And it's great to have all of you with me. Till I see you next time. You stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. Well, I can't forget these folks. These are your galactic patrons. Gabby, God Dogs, Aaron W, Mitty, PB, Robot Cat, Morbius Dragon, The Anti-Corporatist, Donald James X, and Nadia. all of these people helped get us where we are right now. So don't forget that. However, the stream ain't technically over yet. Got a couple of things to do. Technically, it's now 12:48 a.m. over the eastern seaboard. May 22nd. It is now my galactic birthday. Therefore, let's listen to this. You don't even have to press 1 today. I'm not even gonna make you do it. Hold on. Volume.